Have you ever found yourself saying yes when every fiber of your being wanted to say no? Maybe it was to a boss demanding more of your time, a friend who needed just one more favor, or a social event you didn't have the energy for. You knew it would leave you overwhelmed, stretched thin, or resentful, yet you agreed anyway. You're not alone. For many of us, saying no feels impossible, like we're letting someone down, jeopardizing a relationship, or even failing in some unspoken duty. But here's the truth: every yes you give when you really mean no is a small betrayal of yourself. What if I told you that saying no isn't about rejection, it's about respect? Respect for your time, your energy, and your own boundaries. What if you could say no without guilt, without hesitation, and without burning bridges? In this audiobook, How to Say No and Stand Firm, we'll explore why saying no is one of the most powerful skills you can master, and why so many of us struggle with it. Together, we'll uncover the psychology behind guilt, the societal pressures that push us to overcommit, and the practical tools you need to set boundaries confidently and compassionately. You'll learn how to navigate tricky situations at work, at home, and in your social life. Respond with clarity and strength when people push back. Protect your time and energy while maintaining healthy, meaningful relationships. This is more than just a guide to saying no, it's a blueprint for reclaiming your life, one decision at a time. By the end of this journey, you'll feel empowered to say no when it matters most, and to stand firm, knowing you've made the right choice for yourself. The question is, are you ready to stop people-pleasing and start prioritizing yourself? If so, let's begin. Chapter 1. Understanding the importance of saying no. The value of boundaries. The concept of boundaries is crucial for maintaining healthy relationships and a balanced life. Boundaries serve as the invisible lines that define where one person ends and another begins. They are essential for self-care, allowing individuals to protect their time, energy, and emotional well-being. By establishing clear boundaries, adults can communicate their needs and limits effectively, which fosters respect in both personal and professional relationships. Understanding the value of boundaries is the first step toward mastering the art of saying no without guilt. One of the primary benefits of setting boundaries is the reduction of stress and overwhelm. When individuals fail to establish limits, they often take on too much, leading to burnout. By learning to say no to requests that do not align with their priorities, adults can focus on what truly matters to them. This clarity not only enhances personal well-being but also improves productivity and satisfaction in various aspects of life. Recognizing the need for boundaries empowers individuals to prioritize their own needs without feeling selfish or uncooperative. Boundaries also play a significant role in fostering mutual respect in relationships. When individuals communicate their limits, they signal to others that their time and feelings are valuable. This mutual understanding encourages healthier interactions and reduces resentment. People are more likely to respect each other's boundaries when they are clearly articulated. Consequently, establishing boundaries can lead to stronger, more rewarding connections with others, as it encourages open dialogue and honest communication. In addition to enhancing personal well-being and relationships, boundaries are essential for personal growth. They create a framework within which individuals can explore their interests, develop new skills, and pursue their goals. By saying no to distractions and obligations that do not serve their growth, adults can allocate their energy toward meaningful pursuits. This proactive approach contributes to a sense of empowerment, allowing individuals to take charge of their lives and make decisions that align with their values. The impact of overcommitting. Overcommitting can have a profound impact on both personal and professional aspects of life. When individuals take on too many obligations, they often find themselves stretched thin, leading to increased stress and a decline in overall well-being. The inability to say no can create a cycle of overcommitment where one feels trapped by their own choices. As responsibilities pile up, the quality of work may suffer, relationships can become strained, and the individual may experience burnout. Recognizing the signs of overcommitment is the first step towards regaining control and prioritizing one's time effectively. One significant consequence of overcommitting is the toll it takes on mental health. Juggling multiple tasks and responsibilities can result in anxiety and feelings of inadequacy. When individuals agree to more than they can handle, they often set themselves up for failure, leading to a constant state of worry about meeting expectations. This mental burden can erode self-esteem, making it even harder to make decisions about future commitments. Understanding the psychological effects of overcommitting is crucial in fostering a mindset that values self-care and realistic goal setting. Additionally, overcommitting can strain interpersonal relationships. Friends, family, and colleagues may feel neglected when someone is constantly preoccupied with their overwhelming schedule. This can lead to misunderstandings and resentment, as others may perceive the overcommit individual as unreliable or disengaged. The lack of quality time spent with loved ones can create a sense of isolation, which further exacerbates feelings of stress and anxiety. Clear communication about one's limits and the importance of maintaining healthy relationships is vital in mitigating these issues. Professionally, the repercussions of overcommitting can be equally damaging. In a workplace setting, taking on too many projects can lead to missed deadlines and subpar work quality. This not only affects personal performance but can also impact team dynamics and overall productivity. Employers and colleagues may come to rely on an individual's willingness to take on extra tasks, perpetuating a cycle of overcommitment. Establishing boundaries and learning how to say no can enhance one's professional reputation and foster a healthier work environment. Ultimately, overcoming the habit of overcommitting requires a shift in mindset and the development of assertiveness skills. Learning to say no without guilt is essential for maintaining balance and ensuring that commitments align with personal values and priorities. Cultivating the ability to evaluate requests critically, prioritizing tasks, and communicating boundaries effectively can empower individuals to reclaim their time and energy. By recognizing the impact of overcommitting, adults can take proactive steps towards a more fulfilling and manageable life. Recognizing personal limits. Recognizing personal limits is a crucial aspect of establishing healthy boundaries in both personal and professional contexts. Understanding where your limits lie allows you to navigate situations where you might feel pressured to say yes, even when you do not want to. This self-awareness is foundational in developing the ability to say no without guilt. It requires a deep understanding of your own needs, values, and capacities, which can often be overlooked in the hustle of everyday life. By taking the time to reflect on what you can realistically handle, you empower yourself to make informed decisions about your commitments. To identify your personal limits, it is essential to engage in self-reflection. Consider your emotional, physical, and mental capacities. What activities drain you? What commitments feel overwhelming? Creating a list of your responsibilities and assessing how each impacts your well-being can provide clarity. Additionally, recognizing the signs of burnout or stress can serve as indicators that your limits are being tested. This awareness not only aids in setting boundaries but also helps in communicating those boundaries to others effectively. Once you have established a clear understanding of your limits, the next step is to practice assertiveness in expressing them. Saying no does not have to be confrontational, it can be done respectfully and clearly. Using "I" statements can help convey your feelings without placing blame on others. For instance, instead of saying, "You always ask too much of me," you could say, "I feel overwhelmed when I'm asked to take on additional tasks." This approach fosters better communication and reduces the likelihood of guilt associated with saying no. It is also vital to recognize that saying no is a skill that can be developed over time. Much like any other skill, it requires practice and patience. Start with small, low-stakes situations where you can experiment with declining requests. As you grow more comfortable asserting your limits, you can gradually tackle more significant commitments. The more you practice, the more confident you will become in your ability to say no, ultimately reinforcing your self-worth and autonomy. Chapter 2: The Psychology of Guilt. Why we feel guilty for saying no. Guilt often accompanies the act of saying no, stemming from a deep-seated cultural conditioning that prioritizes conformity and agreement over personal boundaries. From an early age, many individuals are taught to be accommodating and to please others, which creates an internal conflict when they must assert their own needs. This conditioning manifests in a fear of disappointing others or being perceived as selfish, leading to a reluctance to decline requests. Understanding this psychological backdrop is essential for recognizing why the word "no" can feel so heavy. The fear of rejection plays a significant role in the guilt associated with saying no. When faced with the possibility of disappointing someone, many adults worry about the repercussions, such as strained relationships or social exclusion. This fear can be paralyzing, making it difficult to prioritize one's own needs and desires. The prospect of facing negative emotions from others can create an internal dialogue that reinforces feelings of guilt, pushing individuals to say yes out of obligation rather than genuine willingness. Social expectations further complicate the ability to say no. In both personal and professional environments, there is often an unspoken rule that encourages cooperation and agreement. This expectation can lead to a culture where dissenting voices are marginalized, creating pressure to conform. Adults who find themselves in these situations may feel that saying no not only disrupts the status quo but also risks their standing within a group. This pressure can amplify feelings of guilt, making individuals more likely to acquiesce to demands even at their own expense. Additionally, the tendency to prioritize others over oneself contributes to the guilt surrounding the word no. Many adults internalize the belief that their value is tied to their ability to help others. This mindset fosters a cycle where saying yes becomes equated with being a good friend, colleague, or family member. When faced with the need to decline a request, individuals may grapple with the fear that they are not living up to this perceived obligation, leading to guilt and self-reproach. Recognizing this pattern is crucial for understanding that self-care is not selfish but rather essential for maintaining healthy relationships. To overcome the guilt associated with saying no, it is vital to reframe the narrative surrounding personal boundaries. Acknowledging that saying no is a legitimate and necessary response can help shift the focus from fear of judgment to self-respect. Implementing strategies such as practicing assertive communication, reflecting on personal values, and recognizing the importance of self-advocacy can empower adults to say no without guilt. By embracing these techniques, individuals can cultivate healthier relationships and create a more balanced approach to their commitments, ultimately leading to greater emotional well-being. The role of social conditioning. Social conditioning plays a significant role in shaping how individuals respond to requests and demands from others. From a young age, society often teaches us to prioritize harmony and agreeability over our own needs and desires. This conditioning can manifest in various ways, such as being told to always be polite, avoid confrontation, or help others at the expense of our own well-being. As adults, these ingrained beliefs can create a substantial barrier when it comes to asserting ourselves and saying no, leading to feelings of guilt or inadequacy. The influence of social conditioning can often be traced back to cultural norms and the expectations placed upon individuals within different communities. Many cultures emphasize collectivism over individualism, promoting the idea that personal sacrifice is a virtue. Consequently, when faced with situations that require us to assert our boundaries, the fear of disappointing others or being perceived as selfish can overwhelm our instincts. Recognizing these societal pressures is the first step towards reclaiming the power to say no without feeling guilty. Moreover, social conditioning is reinforced through media portrayals and interpersonal relationships. Movies, television shows, and literature often depict characters who are self-sacrificing and endlessly accommodating, reinforcing the belief that saying yes is synonymous with being a good person. In personal relationships, patterns of behavior that prioritize others' needs can become entrenched, making it difficult to shift towards a more balanced approach. Understanding how these external influences have shaped our responses can help us become more aware of our tendencies and the importance of setting healthy boundaries. To counteract the effects of social conditioning, it is essential to develop strategies that empower individuals to assert their needs. One effective approach is to practice assertive communication, which involves expressing one's thoughts and feelings honestly while respecting others. This can include using "I" statements to convey personal feelings, allowing for a more constructive dialogue. Additionally, role-playing scenarios where one practices saying no can build confidence and reduce anxiety associated with asserting boundaries in real-life situations. Ultimately, overcoming social conditioning requires a conscious effort to reassess our beliefs about saying no and to embrace the idea that it is not only acceptable but necessary for our well-being. By recognizing the ways in which societal expectations have influenced our behavior, we can begin to challenge these norms and cultivate a mindset that prioritizes self-respect and authenticity. Through consistent practice and self-reflection, adults can learn to navigate the complexities of social interactions with greater ease, allowing them to say no without guilt and stand firm in their choices. Overcoming guilt through self-awareness. Guilt can often be an overwhelming emotion that arises when we consider saying no to others. This feeling typically stems from a desire to please, fear of disappointing someone, or societal pressures that dictate how we should behave. Overcoming guilt is essential for establishing healthy boundaries and exercising the right to say no. Self-awareness acts as a powerful tool in this process, enabling individuals to recognize the root causes of their guilt and to respond more effectively to their own needs. To effectively harness self-awareness, one must first engage in introspection. This involves reflecting on past experiences where saying no elicited feelings of guilt. By identifying specific situations that trigger these emotions, individuals can begin to understand their patterns of behavior. Journaling can be an effective technique for this process, allowing one to articulate feelings and thoughts surrounding the act of refusal. Recognizing these triggers forms the foundation for developing a more assertive stance when faced with the need to decline. Building self-awareness also requires an examination of personal values and priorities. Understanding what truly matters to you can help clarify when it is appropriate to say no. For instance, if family time is a top priority, saying no to work obligations that encroach on that time becomes easier when viewed through the lens of your values. This alignment between actions and priorities can diminish feelings of guilt, as individuals come to realize that their decisions are rooted in self-respect rather than selfishness. Another key aspect of overcoming guilt is practicing self-compassion. Many adults struggle with the belief that saying no equates to being unkind or inconsiderate. However, acknowledging that everyone has limits and deserves to prioritize their well-being is crucial. Engaging in positive self-talk and reframing negative thoughts can foster a more forgiving internal dialogue. By reminding oneself that it is not only acceptable but necessary to decline certain requests, individuals can mitigate feelings of guilt associated with asserting their needs. Incorporating these strategies into daily life empowers individuals to navigate social interactions with greater confidence. As self-awareness grows, so does the ability to articulate boundaries clearly and without remorse. This newfound assertiveness leads to healthier relationships and a more balanced life. Ultimately, overcoming guilt through self-awareness enables adults to embrace the power of saying no, fostering a sense of freedom and authenticity in their choices. Chapter 3: Different Scenarios for Saying No. Professional Settings. In professional settings, the ability to say no effectively is crucial for maintaining boundaries and ensuring that one's workload remains manageable. Many adults find themselves overwhelmed with responsibilities due to a reluctance to decline requests from colleagues or superiors. This often leads to burnout and decreased productivity. Understanding the importance of saying no can empower individuals to manage their time and energy better, ultimately enhancing their professional performance. One effective strategy for saying no in a professional context is to be assertive yet respectful. When faced with a request that cannot be accommodated, it is essential to communicate clearly and confidently. Using phrases such as, "I appreciate your request, but I will not be able to take this on at this time," conveys respect for the other person while firmly stating one's limits. Practicing this kind of assertive communication can help diminish feelings of guilt often associated with declining requests. Another approach is to offer alternatives when possible. If a direct refusal feels too harsh, suggesting a different timeline or providing a referral to someone else who may be able to assist can soften the impact of the no. For instance, one might say, "I can't take this project on right now, but I recommend speaking with colleague's name, who may have the capacity to help." This method not only helps preserve professional relationships but also positions the individual as a supportive team member, even while asserting their own boundaries. It is also beneficial to evaluate the request against one's own priorities and workload. Before responding, taking a moment to assess current commitments can clarify whether saying yes aligns with personal and professional goals. This reflection ensures that decisions are made based on informed choices rather than impulsive reactions. When an individual is clear about their priorities, it becomes easier to communicate a no that feels justified and necessary. It is essential to recognize that saying no is a skill that requires practice. Many adults struggle with the concept of letting others down or fear negative consequences. However, consistently practicing the art of saying no in various situations can build confidence and reduce anxiety. Over time, individuals who embrace this practice will find that their professional relationships can thrive, and their personal well-being improves as they learn to prioritize their own needs without guilt. Personal relationships. Personal relationships often present unique challenges when it comes to setting boundaries and asserting one's needs. Many individuals struggle with the fear of disappointing others or damaging connections by saying no. However, understanding the importance of these boundaries is crucial for maintaining healthy relationships. When we prioritize our own well-being by saying no when necessary, we create space for more genuine and supportive interactions. This subchapter explores how to navigate personal relationships with confidence and integrity while establishing clear boundaries. One effective strategy for saying no in personal relationships is to communicate your feelings openly and honestly. When faced with a request that doesn't align with your priorities, it can be helpful to express your reasoning. Using "I" statements can clarify your perspective without placing blame on the other person. For example, saying, "I feel overwhelmed with my current commitments and cannot take on any more right now," conveys your situation while respecting the other person's feelings. This approach fosters understanding and minimizes the likelihood of defensiveness, paving the way for more authentic connections. Another key aspect of maintaining personal relationships while asserting boundaries is practicing empathy. When you say no, it's essential to acknowledge the other person's feelings. You can express appreciation for their request and validate their emotions by saying something like, "I understand this is important to you, and I appreciate you thinking of me." This not only softens the impact of your no but also reinforces the value you place on the relationship. By showing that you care about their feelings, you can strengthen the bond even when you cannot fulfill their request. Establishing boundaries may also require consistency and perseverance. Once you begin to say no more often, you may encounter resistance or pushback from those accustomed to your compliance. It is vital to remain firm in your decisions and reinforce your boundaries. Consistent communication of your limits helps others understand your stance and gradually accept your no as a valid response. Over time, this will cultivate a mutual respect for each other's boundaries, leading to healthier interactions and deeper connections. It is important to recognize that saying no does not equate to a lack of care or commitment to your relationships. In fact, setting boundaries often enhances the quality of those relationships by preventing resentment and burnout. When you prioritize your needs, you are better equipped to engage authentically and meaningfully with others. By embracing the practice of saying no with confidence and clarity, you not only empower yourself but also contribute to the development of more honest and fulfilling personal relationships. Social obligations. Social obligations often weigh heavily on individuals, compelling them to conform to societal expectations and the desires of others. These obligations can manifest in various forms, such as attending events, participating in group activities, or fulfilling requests from friends and family. While it is natural to want to maintain relationships and be perceived as supportive, it is vital to recognize that saying yes to everything can lead to personal burnout and resentment. Understanding where social obligations stem from and how to navigate them effectively can empower individuals to assert their boundaries without feeling guilt or regret. One significant aspect of social obligations is the fear of disappointing others. Many adults grapple with the idea that declining an invitation or request may lead to strained relationships or feelings of rejection. This fear often arises from a desire to be liked or accepted within social circles. However, it is essential to remember that true friends and supportive family members will respect your choices, even if they do not always align with their expectations. By reframing the perception of social obligations, individuals can alleviate the pressure to say yes and focus on their own needs and priorities. Another strategy for managing social obligations is to practice assertive communication. This involves clearly expressing one's feelings and intentions while maintaining respect for others. When faced with a request that does not align with personal values or time constraints, individuals can use phrases such as, "I appreciate the invite, but I need to prioritize my commitments right now." This approach not only conveys sincerity but also reinforces the importance of personal boundaries. By articulating one's needs confidently, it becomes easier to decline without feeling guilty. Additionally, it can be beneficial to evaluate the motivations behind social obligations. Are these commitments driven by genuine desire, or are they influenced by societal norms and expectations? Taking a step back to assess the reasons for participating can provide clarity. If an obligation feels more like a chore than an opportunity for connection, it may be time to reconsider involvement. Establishing criteria for what qualifies as a meaningful commitment can help individuals make more informed decisions about where to invest their time and energy. Chapter 4: Techniques for saying no. The direct approach. The direct approach to saying no is one of the most effective strategies for establishing personal boundaries. This method emphasizes clarity and assertiveness, allowing individuals to communicate their refusal without ambiguity. When you choose to be direct, you eliminate the potential for misunderstandings that can arise when using vague language or hints. This approach empowers you to express your needs and priorities clearly, ensuring that others understand your position without confusion. Implementing the direct approach begins with being honest about your feelings and intentions. When faced with a request, take a moment to assess your willingness and capacity to fulfill it. If the answer is no, acknowledge your feelings and communicate them straightforwardly. For example, saying, "I cannot take on this project right now," conveys your decision without leaving room for misinterpretation. This level of honesty not only fosters respect from others but also reinforces your own self-respect. It's important to remember that saying no does not require an elaborate explanation. While it may be tempting to justify your refusal, over-explaining can diminish the strength of your answer. A simple, respectful no is often enough. For instance, stating, "I appreciate the offer, but I have prior commitments," succinctly communicates your decision without unnecessary details. This straightforwardness not only strengthens your position but also models assertive communication for others. Practicing the direct approach can also alleviate feelings of guilt that often accompany refusal. By focusing on your right to set boundaries, you reinforce the idea that prioritizing your needs is both valid and necessary. This mindset shift can help you internalize the belief that saying no is not a personal failure but rather an essential practice for maintaining your well-being. Over time, this practice can lead to increased confidence in your decision-making and a healthier relationship with your time and energy. The indirect approach. The indirect approach to saying no involves a nuanced strategy that allows individuals to decline requests while minimizing potential conflict or discomfort. This method recognizes the social dynamics at play in interpersonal relationships and aims to preserve harmony while asserting personal boundaries. By employing tact and subtlety, one can effectively communicate their refusal without directly confronting the other party or causing distress. This approach is particularly beneficial in situations where the relationship's importance outweighs the need for a straightforward rejection. One effective technique within the indirect approach is to use "I" statements. Instead of explicitly saying no, individuals can frame their responses to highlight their own feelings or circumstances. For example, saying, "I'm not able to take on additional commitments right now," conveys the message without putting the other person on the defensive. This method allows the individual to maintain agency over their choices while simultaneously expressing empathy towards the requester. By focusing on personal limitations rather than outright rejection, the conversation can remain constructive and respectful. Another strategy is to offer alternatives or compromise, which softens the blow of a refusal. Instead of a flat no, suggesting a different time, a modified request, or a referral to someone else can help maintain goodwill. For instance, if a colleague asks for assistance on a project, one might say, "I can't help this week, but I would be happy to brainstorm with you next month." This not only communicates a refusal but also reinforces the willingness to support in a different capacity, thus preserving the relationship and demonstrating consideration. The indirect approach also involves the art of deflection. This technique allows individuals to steer the conversation away from their refusal without explicitly stating it. By asking questions or shifting the focus to the other person's needs or goals, one can create space to avoid committing while still engaging in dialogue. For instance, responding to a request with, "What are your thoughts on how we can best tackle this together?" can redirect the conversation, allowing the person to express their ideas without feeling rejected. In addition to maintaining relationships, the indirect approach can also alleviate feelings of guilt. By framing refusals in a way that emphasizes personal boundaries and self-care, individuals can reinforce their right to decline without feeling selfish. Understanding that it is acceptable to prioritize one's own needs fosters a healthier mindset around saying no. Ultimately, the indirect approach serves as a valuable tool for adults seeking to navigate social interactions with grace and confidence while firmly asserting their boundaries. The compromise method. The compromise method is a valuable strategy for adults seeking to navigate the often uncomfortable terrain of saying no. This approach emphasizes finding a middle ground that respects both the needs of the individual and the requests of others. By employing compromise, individuals can maintain their relationships while still asserting their own boundaries. The key to this method lies in open communication and a willingness to negotiate, allowing for a more constructive interaction that can lead to mutually agreeable solutions. To effectively implement the compromise method, one must first clearly understand their own needs and limits. This requires introspection and an honest assessment of what one can and cannot commit to. Once these boundaries are established, the next step is to communicate them effectively to the other party. This involves expressing one's limitations while also demonstrating a willingness to collaborate on finding solutions. For instance, rather than outright refusing a request, an individual might say, "I can't help with that today, but I'm available next week." This approach not only communicates a no but also opens the door for future engagement. Active listening is another critical component of the compromise method. When someone makes a request, taking the time to listen to their perspective can foster a sense of understanding and respect. This allows for a more productive discussion about how to navigate the request. By acknowledging the other person's feelings or needs, the individual can frame their response in a way that is both honest and empathetic. This creates a collaborative atmosphere where both parties feel heard, often leading to creative solutions that satisfy both sides. It is also essential to recognize that compromise does not mean sacrificing one's values or overcommitting to please others. The goal is to find a solution that respects the boundaries of all involved. For example, if a colleague asks for help on a project that requires significant time and energy, instead of agreeing to assist fully, one might suggest contributing a smaller portion of the work. This way, the individual is still saying no to the full request while offering a form of support that aligns with their availability and comfort level. Ultimately, the compromise method empowers individuals to say no without guilt by framing the refusal as part of a collaborative effort rather than a rejection. This strategy not only preserves relationships but also reinforces personal boundaries. By mastering the art of compromise, adults can navigate requests with confidence, ensuring that their own needs are met while still being considerate of others. This balance is crucial for fostering healthy interactions and maintaining a sense of self-respect in various aspects of life. Chapter 5: Crafting Your Response. Using clear language. Using clear language is essential when it comes to asserting boundaries and saying no effectively. Clarity removes ambiguity and ensures that the message is understood as intended. When you use straightforward language, you minimize the chances of misinterpretation, which can lead to unnecessary guilt or conflict. Clear communication helps to convey your decision firmly, making it easier for the other party to accept your refusal without probing for further explanations or engaging in negotiation. When articulating your no, it's important to be direct yet respectful. This means avoiding overly complicated phrases or euphemisms that can dilute the strength of your message. Instead of saying, "I'm not sure if I can make it," a more definitive response like, "I cannot attend," leaves no room for doubt. This approach not only communicates your intentions clearly but also demonstrates confidence in your decision. It is crucial to practice this directness to build comfort and ease in future interactions. The use of clear language also involves being mindful of your tone and body language. Nonverbal communication can significantly impact how your message is received. Maintaining an open posture, steady eye contact, and a calm voice reinforces your words, making your refusal appear more genuine and less confrontational. If your demeanor suggests hesitation or discomfort, it may lead others to question your resolve or attempt to persuade you otherwise. Therefore, aligning your verbal and nonverbal cues is key to conveying a consistent message. Another aspect of using clear language is the importance of being concise. Lengthy explanations or justifications can create opportunities for negotiation, which might undermine your initial refusal. Aim to keep your responses short and to the point. For example, rather than elaborating on why you can't help with a project, simply stating, "I'm unable to take on additional work right now," suffices. This approach not only respects the other person's time but also reinforces your right to make decisions without needing to provide extensive reasons. The power of I statements. The use of I statements is a powerful tool in the realm of communication, particularly when it comes to asserting oneself and setting boundaries. I statements focus on the speaker's feelings, thoughts, and experiences rather than attributing blame or judgment to others. This approach fosters a sense of ownership over one's emotions and responses, which is essential when learning to say no. By framing your message in terms of your own needs and desires, you not only express your boundaries clearly but also reduce the likelihood of defensive reactions from others. When employing I statements, the structure typically follows a simple formula: express how you feel, state what you need, and explain why. For instance, instead of saying, "You always ask too much of me," one might say, "I feel overwhelmed when I take on too many responsibilities because I have my own priorities to manage." This method personalizes the conversation, making it clear that the issue lies with the situation rather than the person you are addressing. This approach can lead to more productive discussions and greater understanding, as it removes the confrontational tone that often accompanies statements that place blame. Using I statements also plays a crucial role in combating guilt that may arise when saying no. Many adults struggle with the fear of disappointing others, leading them to overcommit or agree to requests that infringe on their personal time and space. By articulating your feelings and needs with I statements, you can assert your boundaries without feeling selfish. This way, you can communicate that your decision to decline is based on your own capacity and well-being, rather than a refusal to support someone else. This shift in perspective can help minimize the guilt often associated with saying no. Furthermore, I statements can enhance interpersonal relationships by promoting empathy and understanding. When you express your feelings and needs openly, it invites others to respond with greater sensitivity. They are more likely to appreciate your perspective, which can lead to deeper connections and more respectful interactions. This is particularly beneficial in personal and professional relationships where collaboration and mutual respect are vital. By establishing an environment of open communication, you create a space where boundaries can be respected and understood by all parties involved. Mastering the art of I statements equips adults with a vital strategy for asserting themselves and saying no without guilt. This technique emphasizes personal accountability and fosters a healthy communication style that can enhance relationships. By focusing on one's own experiences and feelings, individuals can navigate challenging conversations with clarity and confidence. Ultimately, embracing I statements empowers individuals to honor their boundaries while still maintaining respect for others, paving the way for more authentic interactions. Keeping it simple. Keeping it simple is a powerful strategy when it comes to mastering the art of saying no. Often, people complicate their responses with lengthy explanations or justifications, which can lead to feelings of guilt or obligation. By adopting a straightforward approach, you can communicate your boundaries clearly and succinctly. This not only makes it easier for you to say no but also helps others understand your position without unnecessary confusion. Simplicity in your response conveys confidence and decisiveness, which can actually foster respect from those around you. When faced with a request that doesn't align with your priorities or capacity, consider a direct approach. A simple, "I can't help with that right now," or "I need to decline," is often sufficient. This eliminates the need for excessive reasoning, which can inadvertently invite further persuasion. By keeping your response brief, you maintain control over the conversation and reduce the likelihood of being drawn into a debate about your decision. Remember, your time and energy are valuable, and you have the right to protect them. Another aspect of simplicity is the importance of clarity in your communication. Avoid vague language that can lead to misunderstandings. Instead of saying, "I'll think about it," which can imply that you might still say yes, be clear with your no. Phrasing your response in a straightforward manner not only reinforces your message but also sets a precedent for future interactions. When people know you mean what you say, they are less likely to press you further. Clarity breeds respect. When others understand where you stand, they are more likely to honor your boundaries. Practice is essential in developing the skill of saying no simply. Role-playing scenarios with trusted friends or family can help you refine your delivery. Focus on how to express your refusal without excessive detail, and rehearse maintaining a neutral tone. Over time, this practice will make it easier to respond confidently in real-life situations. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel to assert your needs without over-explaining or feeling guilty. Embrace the notion that simplicity does not equate to insensitivity. Saying no can be done with kindness and respect without compromising your own needs. You can acknowledge the request and express gratitude for being considered while still standing firm in your decision. A simple, polite refusal can leave the door open for future interactions, allowing you to maintain relationships without sacrificing your own well-being. By keeping it simple, you empower yourself to set boundaries effectively, paving the way for a more balanced and fulfilling life. Chapter 6: Handling Pushback. Anticipating reactions. Anticipating reactions is a crucial aspect of learning to say no effectively. When faced with a request or obligation, it is common to feel apprehensive about how the other person might respond. Understanding that reactions can vary widely, from disappointment to anger or even acceptance, allows individuals to prepare mentally and emotionally. By anticipating these responses, one can develop strategies to handle them gracefully and maintain a firm stance without succumbing to guilt or pressure. One effective strategy for anticipating reactions is to consider the nature of the relationship with the person making the request. Close friends or family members may respond with emotional appeals or feelings of betrayal, while colleagues or acquaintances might take a more professional approach. By evaluating the dynamics of the relationship, individuals can tailor their responses to mitigate potential negative reactions. This preparation can include rehearsing different scenarios and responses, which helps build confidence in delivering a no without feeling guilty. Another important factor to consider is the context of the request. If the request is made during a stressful time or in a public setting, the reaction may be more intense. Anticipating that the other person might react defensively or try to guilt-trip can help in crafting a response that is both assertive and empathetic. For instance, acknowledging the other person's feelings while maintaining a firm boundary can soften the impact of the refusal. This approach not only helps in managing the immediate situation but also fosters a healthier interaction moving forward. It is also beneficial to prepare for the possibility of pushback. When someone is accustomed to getting a yes, they may not accept a no easily. Anticipating this type of reaction can lead to the formulation of clear and concise explanations for the refusal. Instead of feeling pressured to provide lengthy justifications, individuals can practice delivering their no with confidence. This clarity not only reinforces their position but also demonstrates respect for their own time and priorities, which is central to the practice of saying no without guilt. Staying firm under pressure. Staying firm under pressure is essential for maintaining your boundaries, especially when faced with the expectations and demands of others. In various situations, whether at work, in social circles, or within family dynamics, the pressure to conform or acquiesce can be intense. Recognizing this pressure is the first step in developing the resilience needed to stand your ground. Understanding that it is natural for people to push back when they encounter resistance can help you prepare mentally for these interactions. One effective strategy for staying firm is to practice assertive communication. This involves being clear, direct, and respectful when expressing your boundaries. Use "I" statements to convey your feelings and decisions without sounding accusatory. For example, saying, "I cannot take on additional work at this time," is more effective than saying, "You are asking too much of me." By framing your responses in a way that emphasizes your perspective, you can communicate your needs without inviting guilt or defensiveness from others. Another important aspect of staying firm under pressure is managing your emotions. When confronted with resistance, it is easy to feel anxious or guilty about saying no. However, acknowledging these feelings and understanding that they are a normal part of asserting boundaries can empower you. Techniques such as deep breathing, positive affirmations, and visualizing successful outcomes can help calm your nerves and bolster your confidence. The more you practice these techniques, the easier it becomes to remain steady in the face of pressure. Preparation is also key to staying firm. Anticipating potential scenarios where you might need to say no can help you craft responses ahead of time. Consider the common situations in which you feel pressured and develop a clear, concise statement for each. This proactive approach not only reduces anxiety but also equips you with the tools necessary to respond confidently when the moment arises. Role-playing these scenarios with a trusted friend can further reinforce your ability to stay firm under pressure. Strategies for deflection. Deflection is a powerful strategy for maintaining your boundaries while minimizing conflict. It allows you to navigate uncomfortable situations without directly confronting the person making the request. One effective method is to redirect the conversation. When faced with a request that you do not want to entertain, you can shift the focus to the person's needs or the implications of their request. For example, instead of saying no outright, you might say, "That sounds like a lot of work. How do you think we could handle it differently?" This approach allows you to assert your boundaries while also encouraging the other person to reconsider their expectations. Another strategy for deflection is to use the power of time. Instead of giving an immediate response, you can delay the conversation by saying you need to think it over. This not only gives you time to formulate a more thoughtful response but also allows the other person to reflect on their request. For instance, you might say, "I appreciate you thinking of me, but I need to check my schedule and get back to you." This tactic can help you avoid impulsive commitments and create space for you to evaluate your priorities without feeling pressured. Setting up a buffer can also serve as an effective deflection strategy. This involves creating a third-party intermediary who can help communicate your boundaries. For example, if a colleague frequently asks you to take on extra work, you might inform them that you are focusing on your current projects and that they should reach out to your supervisor for additional resources. This allows you to maintain your stance without directly turning down the request, thereby reducing the likelihood of personal conflict. Using humor can also be a valuable tool for deflection. A light-hearted response can diffuse tension and make it easier to assert your boundaries without coming across as harsh or dismissive. For instance, if a friend invites you to an event that you cannot attend, you could respond with a playful remark like, "I'd love to, but my couch and I have a prior engagement." This not only communicates your unavailability but also keeps the conversation friendly and non-confrontational. Practicing active listening can enhance your deflection strategies. By genuinely acknowledging the other person's request, you create an environment of respect and understanding. You might say, "I hear that this is important to you, but I need to prioritize my own commitments right now." This approach validates their feelings while firmly reinforcing your own boundaries. Active listening ensures that your response is thoughtful and considerate, allowing you to say no without guilt and maintaining a positive relationship in the process. Chapter 7: Building Confidence to Say No. Self-reflection and affirmation. Self-reflection is an essential aspect of developing the ability to say no effectively and confidently. It involves taking the time to examine your values, priorities, and personal boundaries. This process allows you to understand why you may feel guilty or uncomfortable when denying requests from others. By identifying the underlying beliefs that drive your responses, you can begin to reassess and realign your actions with your true desires. This understanding is crucial for adults who often juggle multiple responsibilities and commitments, leading to the overwhelming need to please others at the expense of their own well-being. Affirmation plays a vital role in the journey of learning to say no without guilt. Affirmations are positive statements that reinforce your self-worth and remind you of your right to prioritize your own needs. By regularly practicing affirmations, you can shift your mindset from one of obligation to one of empowerment. For instance, stating, "I am entitled to my time and energy," can help mitigate feelings of guilt associated with saying no. Incorporating these affirmations into daily routines can create a powerful shift in how you perceive and respond to requests, fostering a healthier relationship with both yourself and others. In addition to self-reflection and affirmations, it is beneficial to cultivate a supportive environment that encourages assertiveness. Surrounding yourself with individuals who respect your boundaries and understand the importance of self-care can reinforce your commitment to saying no. This support can come from friends, family, or even professional networks. Engaging in discussions with like-minded individuals can provide validation and encouragement, helping you to feel less isolated in your choices. As you practice saying no, the reinforcement from your support system can bolster your confidence and reduce feelings of guilt. Another strategy for effective self-reflection is journaling. Writing down your thoughts and feelings regarding specific situations where you struggle to say no can provide clarity and insight. Journaling allows you to explore the emotional triggers that arise when faced with requests, helping you to articulate your feelings more clearly. This practice can also serve as a record of your progress over time, highlighting instances where you successfully asserted your boundaries. By regularly revisiting your journal entries, you can recognize patterns in your behavior and celebrate your growth in becoming more assertive. Ultimately, mastering the art of saying no requires ongoing self-reflection and the use of affirmations to reinforce your choices. By understanding the motivations behind your responses and actively working to affirm your right to prioritize your needs, you can develop a more assertive and guilt-free approach to declining requests. This journey not only enhances your personal well-being but also sets a precedent for others to respect their own boundaries. As you embrace this process, you will find that saying no becomes not just a necessity, but a powerful affirmation of your self-worth and autonomy. Practicing assertiveness. Practicing assertiveness is a crucial skill in navigating both personal and professional relationships. It entails expressing your thoughts, feelings, and needs openly and honestly while also respecting others. Many adults struggle with assertiveness due to fears of conflict or rejection, leading to a tendency to appease others at the expense of their own well-being. Understanding the fundamentals of assertiveness can empower individuals to articulate their boundaries and say no without feeling guilty. To practice assertiveness effectively, one must first recognize the difference between passive, aggressive, and assertive communication styles. Passive communicators often avoid expressing their needs, leading to resentment. Aggressive communicators, on the other hand, express their needs at the expense of others, which can harm relationships. Assertive communication strikes a balance by allowing individuals to voice their needs and desires confidently while maintaining respect for others. This balance is essential for cultivating healthy interactions. One practical strategy for saying no assertively is to use I statements. By framing your response around your feelings and needs, you take ownership of your decision and reduce the likelihood of the other person feeling attacked or blamed. For instance, instead of saying, "You always ask me to do this," try, "I feel overwhelmed when I take on additional tasks." This approach shifts the focus from the other person's behavior to your own experience, making it easier to communicate your boundaries. Another effective technique is to practice the art of saying no with clarity and brevity. When faced with a request that does not align with your priorities, a straightforward response is often the most effective. For example, saying, "I appreciate the offer, but I cannot commit to this right now," conveys your message clearly without over-explaining or providing unnecessary justification. This not only respects your own time and energy but also establishes a precedent for future interactions. Chapter 8: Maintaining Healthy Relationships. Communicating boundaries effectively. Communicating boundaries effectively is essential for maintaining healthy relationships and ensuring that one's needs are respected. When individuals learn to say no, they often confront feelings of guilt or fear of disappointing others. However, mastering the art of boundary communication transforms the ability to say no into a powerful tool for self-advocacy. It is crucial to approach this task with clarity and confidence, using specific strategies that allow for respectful and assertive communication. The first step in effectively communicating boundaries is understanding one's own limits. This requires self-reflection and awareness of personal values, priorities, and emotional capacities. Adults should take the time to assess what is acceptable and what crosses the line for them in various contexts, whether in personal relationships, professional environments, or social situations. By identifying these boundaries, individuals can articulate their needs more clearly when the time comes to say no. Once boundaries are established, the next step is to communicate them directly. Clarity is key. Vague statements can lead to misunderstandings. When saying no, it is important to be succinct and straightforward. For example, instead of saying, "I might be busy," one could simply say, "I cannot take on additional responsibilities at this time." This direct approach minimizes ambiguity and reinforces the seriousness of the boundary being set. Additionally, using "I" statements can help convey personal feelings without placing blame, making it easier for the other party to understand the necessity of the boundary. Another effective strategy for communicating boundaries is the use of nonverbal cues. Body language, tone of voice, and eye contact play significant roles in how messages are received. Maintaining an open posture, using a calm tone, and making eye contact can reinforce the message that the boundary is firm yet respectful. This nonverbal communication complements the verbal aspect, ensuring that the message is received with the intended seriousness. Practicing these elements can boost confidence and help individuals feel more empowered when delivering their no. Reassuring others. Reassuring others when you say no is an essential skill that can help maintain healthy relationships and minimize discomfort. When you refuse a request, it is natural for the other person to feel rejected or disappointed. By offering reassurance, you can communicate that your decision is not a reflection of their worth or the value of their request. This involves using language that emphasizes your appreciation for the person and their needs while clearly stating your boundaries. A simple acknowledgement of their feelings can go a long way in softening the impact of your refusal. One effective strategy for reassuring others is to express gratitude. Start your response by thanking the person for considering you or for their request. This demonstrates that you value their input and appreciate the relationship. For example, you might say, "I appreciate you thinking of me for this project." Following this, you can assert your refusal clearly but kindly. This approach not only softens the blow of your rejection but also reinforces the idea that you are still supportive of them, even if you cannot fulfill their request. Another important aspect of reassurance is to provide context for your decision. When you explain your reasons for saying no, it helps the other person understand that your refusal is based on your current circumstances rather than a personal judgment. For instance, if you are unable to help with a task due to prior commitments, sharing that information can alleviate feelings of guilt or disappointment. A response like, "I can't take this on right now because my schedule is already full," communicates your situation without implying that their request was unreasonable. Additionally, offering alternatives can serve as a powerful form of reassurance. Instead of simply shutting down a request, suggest other ways the person might achieve their goal or recommend someone else who may be able to assist. This shows that you still care about their needs and are willing to help them find a solution, even if you cannot directly participate. For example, you might say, "While I can't help this time, I think Sarah would be great for this. You could also check with her." This not only eases the disappointment but also helps maintain the relationship by showing that you are still engaged. It is crucial to reaffirm the importance of the relationship itself. Remind the other person that your decision does not diminish your respect or care for them. Use phrases that reinforce your commitment to maintaining a healthy connection, such as, "I value our friendship, and I want to be honest with you." This reassurance can help mitigate any feelings of guilt you may experience while saying no and can foster an environment where open communication is encouraged. By employing these strategies, you can navigate the complexities of refusal with grace and empathy, ensuring that both you and the other person feel respected and understood. Understanding the balance. Understanding the balance requires a nuanced approach to the art of saying no. Many adults grapple with feelings of guilt and anxiety when faced with the need to decline requests, whether from friends, family, or colleagues. This internal struggle often stems from a desire to be liked or to avoid conflict, leading to a pattern of overcommitting and ultimately feeling overwhelmed. To effectively manage this aspect of life, one must recognize the importance of setting boundaries, which is foundational to maintaining personal well-being and fostering healthier relationships. Establishing clear boundaries is the first step in understanding the balance between being accommodating and preserving your own needs. This involves recognizing your limits and understanding that saying no is not a personal failure but a necessary skill for self-care. It is essential to internalize the idea that your time and energy are valuable resources, and using them wisely is a form of respect for yourself. By honoring your own limits, you create a framework within which you can engage more authentically with others, ensuring that when you do say yes, it is genuinely aligned with your intentions and capabilities. Effective communication plays a critical role in this process. When you decide to say no, doing so with clarity and confidence can significantly reduce feelings of guilt. It is helpful to practice assertive communication techniques, such as using I statements to express your needs without sounding defensive or apologetic. For example, saying, "I can't take on any additional projects right now because I need to focus on my current commitments," conveys your message without diminishing the other person's request. This approach not only affirms your decision but also demonstrates respect for the person making the request. Moreover, it is important to understand that you are not responsible for the reactions of others when you say no. While it is natural to want to maintain harmony, you cannot control how someone will feel about your decision. By recognizing that their feelings are their own responsibility, you free yourself from the burden of guilt. This shift in mindset is crucial for maintaining emotional balance. It allows you to stand firm in your choices while still being compassionate towards others, as you can acknowledge their disappointment without internalizing it. Chapter 9: Long-term benefits of saying no. Increased self-esteem. Increased self-esteem is a crucial outcome of learning how to say no effectively. When individuals practice setting boundaries, they often discover a newfound sense of self-worth. This transformation occurs because saying no is not merely a rejection of others' demands, it is an affirmation of one's own values and priorities. By prioritizing their needs and desires, individuals begin to view themselves as deserving of respect and consideration. This shift fosters a positive self-image and reinforces the idea that their time and energy are valuable. Moreover, the ability to decline requests without guilt contributes significantly to emotional well-being. When individuals habitually acquiesce to others' demands, they may feel overwhelmed and resentful. These feelings can erode self-esteem, leading to a cycle of self-doubt and anxiety. Conversely, saying no allows individuals to reclaim control over their lives, empowering them to make choices that align with their personal goals. As they experience the relief that comes from asserting themselves, their confidence grows, further enhancing their self-esteem. Practicing the art of saying no can also cultivate resilience. Each time an individual successfully navigates a challenging situation by setting boundaries, they reinforce their self-efficacy. This resilience is critical, as it equips them to handle future requests with greater ease and conviction. As their self-esteem increases, they become less affected by the fear of disappointing others, allowing them to prioritize their own needs without hesitation. Over time, this empowerment leads to more authentic interactions and relationships, as individuals no longer feel compelled to compromise their values. Increased self-esteem from saying no also encourages a more assertive communication style. When individuals recognize their worth, they are more likely to express their thoughts and feelings openly. This assertiveness not only strengthens their ability to decline requests but also fosters healthier relationships with others. Clear and honest communication reduces misunderstandings and builds mutual respect, as those around them begin to recognize and appreciate their boundaries. This transformation is essential in creating an environment where both parties feel valued and understood. Ultimately, the journey towards increased self-esteem through the practice of saying no is an empowering one. As adults learn to set boundaries and prioritize their own needs, they cultivate a deeper sense of self-respect and confidence. This newfound empowerment not only enhances their overall quality of life but also fosters healthier, more balanced relationships. Embracing the ability to say no without guilt is not just about denying requests, it is about affirming one's right to live authentically and with purpose. Enhanced productivity. Enhanced productivity is a crucial aspect of personal and professional success, and learning to say no effectively can play a significant role in achieving this goal. Many individuals find themselves overwhelmed by commitments, often taking on more than they can realistically handle. This overcommitment can lead to burnout, decreased efficiency, and a decline in overall quality of work. By understanding the power of saying no, adults can reclaim their time and energy, allowing them to focus on tasks that truly matter and contribute to their goals. The ability to decline requests without feeling guilty is an essential skill that can enhance productivity. When individuals learn to prioritize their tasks and commitments, they can allocate their resources more effectively. This involves evaluating each request against personal and professional goals, ensuring that time and energy are spent on activities that align with one's values. By practicing this skill, adults can foster a more intentional approach to their responsibilities, which ultimately leads to better outcomes and higher satisfaction in both personal and professional realms. One effective strategy for saying no is to communicate with clarity and confidence. This means being direct about one's limitations while maintaining a respectful tone. Instead of offering vague excuses or over-explaining, individuals should aim to be succinct in their refusals. For example, stating, "I appreciate the offer, but I cannot take on additional commitments right now," conveys firmness while still honoring the relationship. This approach not only reinforces personal boundaries but also allows others to understand and respect one's capacity, ultimately fostering healthier interactions. Another crucial strategy involves using positive framing when saying no. Instead of dwelling on the negative aspect of declining a request, individuals can pivot the conversation to focus on their existing priorities. For instance, one might say, "I am currently committed to a project that requires my full attention, but I would be happy to help in the future." This technique not only softens the impact of the refusal but also leaves the door open for future collaboration, which can enhance professional relationships while maintaining personal productivity. Improved mental health. Improved mental health is an essential outcome of learning to say no effectively. Many adults struggle with the fear of disappointing others or facing conflict, leading them to say yes when they truly wish to decline. This habitual acquiescence can create significant stress, anxiety, and feelings of resentment. By mastering the art of saying no, individuals can reclaim their time, prioritize their needs, and ultimately enhance their overall mental well-being. When individuals regularly agree to requests that do not align with their priorities, they often experience a sense of being overwhelmed. This constant overcommitment leads to burnout, which can manifest as fatigue, irritability, and a lack of motivation. Learning to say no allows individuals to set boundaries that protect their mental health. It creates space for self-care and personal growth, which are vital for maintaining emotional resilience in the face of life's challenges. Saying no also fosters a sense of autonomy and control over one's life. When adults learn to assert their needs, they cultivate a stronger sense of self-worth and confidence. This empowerment is crucial for mental health, as it encourages individuals to make choices that align with their values and interests. Acknowledging personal limits and communicating them effectively can significantly reduce feelings of helplessness and promote a more positive self-image. Moreover, the ability to say no without guilt helps to reduce anxiety associated with interpersonal relationships. Often, the fear of upsetting others or facing backlash can be paralyzing. However, adopting strategies for saying no with clarity and kindness allows for open communication, ultimately strengthening relationships. When others understand and respect boundaries, it fosters healthier dynamics and reduces the emotional labor that comes with constant compliance. Continuing the journey of assertiveness. Continuing the journey of assertiveness requires an ongoing commitment to personal growth and self-awareness. It is essential to recognize that assertiveness is not a destination but a dynamic process that evolves over time. As adults, we are often faced with social pressures and expectations that may challenge our ability to assert ourselves effectively. Embracing this journey means continuously refining our communication skills and understanding the nuances of saying no in various contexts. This ongoing effort can lead to greater confidence and a more fulfilling life. In conclusion, improved mental health is a significant benefit of mastering the skill of saying no. By establishing boundaries, individuals can prevent burnout, promote self-empowerment, and enhance their interpersonal relationships. Embracing the right strategies for declining requests can lead to a more balanced and fulfilling life, where individuals feel in control of their choices and able to prioritize their mental well-being. This transformation not only positively impacts personal health but also enriches interactions with others, fostering a more supportive and understanding community.